Yeah, Parsons sought out the likes of Tom Brady, Ray Lewis, Richard Sherman, and Andrew Whitworth in an effort to improve as a leader. I think, maybe the blinking light in a lot of people's minds right now is how could we see another story about this and then he ghosts the team on OTAs. And, it'd be interesting to maybe ask him some follow-up questions on that, like, what's your philosophy on being around all the time at these OTAs? Do you think it's possible to be a team leader and not attend these, and how that impacts it? But he admitted that he fell short in the leadership department last year, decided it's not going to happen again. He was sitting around at the NFL at Delilah Lounge inside the Wynn Las Vegas hotel when Richard Sherman got on him about the Cowboys' playoff loss to the Packers. There was Andrew Whitworth, recently retired O-lineman, talking to Parsons about maturity. Parsons took everything to heart during the offseason. He also had discussions with Tom Brady, the GOAT among QBs. He talked to Brady at least 4 or 5 times. Parsons also had words with Ray Lewis, the GOAT of linebackers, at the Pro Bowl. And in this story here from Calvin Watkins, Parsons admits he was in denial. I think it was a harsh reality and a reality check for me within myself and my self-evaluations. I got to do the best that I can, not only to make myself better, but bring along other guys, and I feel like I needed that, and I had the conversations early on, and you want to strike when the iron's hot. He says, I kind of went to my mentors. How do I approach this? How do I get better at this? This is a task I never had to take on in my life. I think my whole life I was pretty much Micah's going to do what Micah's going to do. I just expected everyone else to do that. As you learn leadership, some people need a pat on the back and some people need a push-up. And then the final quote that Calvin used, he says, if we lose, I just wanted to be like I didn't do everything that I could to make everyone else around me better. I think last year I didn't check that box, and that's something I want everyone on the same level. And I could see all of these quotes applying to this story if it also included, and I realized I should have been at OTAs, but that's not in there. So I think that's interesting because those two things seem like fairly opposed to one another. What do you guys think?
I think it's a step for Mike, and I loved hearing this. I do think that it backs up a lot of the criticism and frustration that we talked about this offseason because he's acknowledging it himself that he didn't do a good enough job. And you're right. I would have liked to have heard that as well, Gavin, about the OTAs because, when you've got the installs and you can help out some of these new young players, and clearly Mike McCarthy wasn't happy about it, but at least he's acknowledging and doing some self-reflecting and wanting to improve in that area. I think a lot of the stuff that is at least rubbed me the wrong way at times is he's kind of wanted to point the finger at others instead of, pointing the finger at himself. And this is one of the first times that I've really kind of heard him do some self-reflection and look in the mirror. Where can I be better? And he's young. He can still mature. There's a lot of areas to improve. I would love to see him go in a positive direction this year when it comes to the leadership role.
Brian, can you miss OTAs and be a great leader?
Don't think so. To me, the bigger thing is if he's wanting to have a change in his life as far as football life, I watch him quite a bit during practice because I want to see how he interacts with teammates. They do one-on-one pass rush drills. He goes and runs sprints by himself. He's not. Now, he's probably saving everybody a lot of embarrassment on the offensive line by going over there and running sprints on his own. He's probably saving. But, let's be honest. Guyton needs to work. Steele needs to work. The Awesome Richards needs to work.
You need those looks against elite quickness.
You do. And he chooses. There's practices that he chooses not to be a part of, or there are periods of practice where he just chooses not to be a part of it. And I watch that. I'm thinking, okay, is he doing this, like I said, because he doesn't want to embarrass teammates? Because he can't. He's one of the best players you have. He's one of the best players in the league.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The Rams didn't have an answer for him when they practiced together. The Cowboys, his own teammates don't really have an answer for him either.
And I don't know what you guys gathered when we were there, but it does seem like he is doing some leadership stuff.
He's Nealon. He's talking to Nealon quite a bit. When they get together in drills and stuff, he is constantly, Marshawn Nealon and him are talking about things. That part of it I see. But there are still some things where he will go independently while the team is doing an activity altogether. So you don't know, is that something that he just doesn't want to? He didn't practice the other day. He just, he was dressed out, ready to go. Didn't participate in anything that they did.
Have you done any asking around on that in terms of
when you ask questions like that, you get the answers that we all have been talking about here the last several weeks.
Okay.
You get that answer.
Now, how unique is it? Where have you seen a player like that before?
Can't tell you.
Okay.
I can't tell you. I can't tell you one that rare of a player, one of the best players in the league ever. To
but just like a really awesome player
it might be something. It might be something that that they're okay with. They're okay. I would think that even if he was standing over there helping Marshawn Nealon with his pass rush stuff, would be better than him. And he's not just standing around. He's going over the other field by himself and running sprints.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to do something.
Right. I think he's awesome. I think there's at least parts of his heart that are in a great place to be a leader, and I don't think we can rule it out that, he's figuring out a way to be inspiring and kind of coaching himself through becoming a leader. But man, it would be the most unique kind of leadership profile when it comes to a lot of these things, like just being there and, supporting the guys and not, being and it's perfectly fine to be a lone wolf head hunting quarterback sacker. That's a badass type of personality to have as well. I just find it interesting, and I would have loved an opportunity to interview him in Oxnard and maybe dig a little bit more into this one. His leadership philosophy. Maybe it leaves plenty. Maybe in his mind, he's leading by saying, guys, if you got your craft worked out, you don't need to come here and take time away from your off season. If you know how to rush, take care of it and show up ready to rock. And, here's a way to eliminate injury, or to put contract pressure on him by not showing up to these things. Maybe that's, maybe that is leadership to him.
I don't know. I don't know if he'll change. And I say this in respect. I don't know of him in the OTAs and minicamps. We've talked. I think Micah Parsons, and I've said this a bunch, I think he hates classroom football. I do. I don't think he wants to be a part of, I have to come in here and talk about this and learn this and this, that, and the other. I don't think he wants to be a part of that. I think Micah Parsons just wants to go out there and play. And to him, OTAs and minicamps are really classroom football. And I don't think things will change for him for that. I just don't.
Okay, we got John Machota in The Athletic delivering 10 players we're watching in Cowboys preseason finale against the Chargers. A man that ended up being a polarizing player after completing 15 of 23 attempts. I think for 4.9 air yards per attempt. Trey Lance, what are you hoping to see from him in the finale, Brian? Pushing the ball downfield, bigger plays?
Yeah, I mean, the other against the Raiders, he was 7 of 8 against the blitz. Well, I'd be interested to see in this game. It will be all 3s and 4s playing. He has a chance probably to look pretty good in this football game. Last week, I think that Mike tailored the game plan to fit him a little better. If he had to play, that's the avenue that you have to go to maybe win a game with him. I think he is playing right now to see if he's going to be the backup quarterback to Dak Prescott. If he goes out there and flops around and doesn't have a very good game, we could see Cooper Rush as the number 2. But if he goes out there and I know it's 3s and 4s, but if he shows Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy and all that it's gotten better each week from week 1 to week 2 to week 3, I think he's battling for the second quarterback spot right now.
I mean, that's what you'd have to want if you're the Joneses. Get him into a situation where maybe it gives you a little bit of leverage. Okay, number 2 is Mazi Smith. I think once you sign Linval Joseph, that's probably a pretty clear sign, that it's not coming together for the young defensive tackles here on this football team. I don't. You can't cut him. Obviously, he's got a first round contract. That wouldn't make sense. But I think this was a huge training camp because you had the ability to say, okay, year one didn't go well. I'm going to put everything I got into making sure I'm ready for this one, and it wasn't that much better. I don't know if there's any hope to still be salvaged here, Brian.
No, they might be. They might not be done at the position too. Just kind of hearing some whispers there. I would keep an eye on. We have a final cut down next Tuesday, so I would keep an eye on that position. There might be still some action there.
An exciting one is Deuce Vaughn, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going into preseason game 3, I want to see if he can do it again with this new, more urgent running style that he's using.
Yeah, there's people around that, the writers, the beat writers that cover the team. When you start to ask them about their 53, they're all believing that maybe Deuce is not going to make this team.
Yeah, he looked good in the preseason last year. It's amazing how good you can look in the preseason game and not have anything, I guess.
Yeah.
I want to see. I mean, that's a dude that needs to get a heck of a lot more than 5 carries. Like I don't need to see Royce Freeman run the football anymore. I've seen that before.
That's
I don't
the
need
thing
to see
about
Malik
it is-
Davis run the football anymore. I've seen that. This needs to be a Trey Lance, Deuce Vaughn. These are the 2 guys that are playing for 4 quarters, and let's see what you got in them, dude. I mean, Deuce gives you a little element of something that you don't have with any of these other guys. Like, I don't know. Does that mean Royce Freeman makes the team? Royce Freeman's making the football team. Malik Davis making the football team. I don't understand what those guys provide.
Royce Freeman and Zeke are very similar. Royce might be better than Zeke right now. They're not cutting Zeke.
Right. Zeke should be a part of it. Every time I mention Royce Freeman's name and Malik Davis's name, it should be Zeke's name as well. But the fact of the matter is that's your RB1.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of not exposing Zeke in a way that we can even evaluate him.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of evaluating, have you seen enough from Marshawn Nealon? Like, does he need to play anymore in the preseason?
Don't think so. He might be your starter at right end.
Yeah.
I think he's already played more than he needed to play. I mean, after that Raider game, I've seen him.
We're good here.
Yeah,
he gets
we're good.
it, man.
Yeah, he's
that dude knows.
It's fine.
Is he your best rookie?
Well, if Guyton is, they've got the only rookie that hasn't done anything has been Thomas, and that's because he's been hurt. Everybody else has shown up at this.
Class looks pretty damn strong right now.
Yeah,
like you're going to
had
get
a
at
good
least
class.
4 big contributions from the 2 offensive linemen, Leofau at linebacker, and then Nealon.
Yep.
Number 6 is Leofau. How good are we talking here?
Tell you what, though, he was not very good against the Rams. He got much better against the Raiders. Played with more awareness. He wasn't guessing. His ability to get to the football. And when you watch them in practice, when they play their base defense, they've been out with Overshone and Clark. Clark came back yesterday, but he's been getting work with the ones. He's got a really good feel for the scheme and how to be involved in it.
Number 8 is Cooper Beebe. Has he taken this job now effectively?
I believe it's his job, so I don't think I would play Cooper Beebe at all if it was me in this game, just to the fact that you're going to need him to start.
Let's go.
And how good do you think he's going to be as a rookie? Is this like a go get him and figure it out while you're on it, or is he coming out here as a guy who can help you out in the running and passing game?
The thing that'll be hard for him initially is though that when you line up across some of these defensive lines is the awareness that you have to play. If you're uncovered, then you have to be able to help. You have to be aware where blitzes are coming from. You have to make calls. You have to make sure the snap's there. You have to be a calming influence, and hopefully he won't get overwhelmed in the middle. I don't think he will. He looks like he's taken to it pretty well. The snaps have been fine. We'll just see. It's going to be a different bit of competition, but the guys that he's been going against at times have challenged him. With the Rams have challenged him. The Raiders have challenged him. Maybe not so much his own guys inside, but those other teams have challenged him, and he's been pretty good.